This investigation is sponsored by Uc67 Aerospace. A poster featuring some of the most famous variants of the Uc67 UC-67 is now available in the Templin commissary. And stick around after the video to find out how the latest line of Uc67 Aerospace craft can offer superior performance and capabilities for every theater of operation, with the ability to grow to meet future requirements.
The transition of the Antares Confederacy from a fragmented collection of terrestrial states towards a star-faring, colonizing power brought with it the requirements for an entirely new fleet of aerospace vehicles. The fulfillment of that requirement was one of the most transformative events in human history. In the span of only a few decades, single-stage-to-orbit transatmospheric craft, once relatively rare and reserved for scientific or military use, entered into the mainstream. Hundreds of thousands and then millions of such vehicles began crisscrossing Confederate star systems, utilized by every industry and agency, while increasingly in the hands of private corporations and individuals. The most successful designs of this era became iconic symbols of the interstellar confederacy, but none have ever matched the relevance and versatility of the UC-67 Mistaya. Holding the record for the longest continuously produced aerospace craft in human history, the Mistaya name is now synonymous with a wider family of vehicles and specialized variants. The UC-67 was initially designed as an infantry, medivac, and cargo transport, colloquially referred to as a dropship, but its extraordinarily adaptable airframe has proven effective in a variety of different uses. Its military variants fulfill the role of gunships, airborne assault craft, attack bombers, aerial refuelers, and serve as the main tactical airlifter within the armed forces of Antares. Civilian models are used in search and rescue operations, scientific research support, weather reconnaissance, aerial refueling, and firefighting. Over 120 variants of the Mistaya operate in more than 20 nations. While successive redesigns and modernization programs have kept the Mistaya competitive after nearly 3 centuries of use, the basic airframe has remained largely consistent. Variants derived from the base UC-67 design are typically 98 feet long with a wingspan of 81 feet and built around a primary modular cargo bay. Access to the bay is provided by a loading ramp at the rear of the fuselage, but in certain models this has been removed entirely to facilitate more specialized equipment. The UC-67 airframe is a dual-pressure vessel design, with the forward crew compartment wholly isolated from the rear modular bay. Critical life support, avionics, navigation, and communication systems are co-located with the crew stations in the forward end of the vehicle. In most variants, a minimum crew of 2 pilots is required for limited flight, with an additional navigator, flight engineer, and loadmaster necessary for standard transport operations. These are all situated in Mistaya's flight deck, which is outfitted with a sweeping array of 6 large cockpit windows. Crew amenities on standard models include restroom facilities, personnel bunks, and a small kitchenette. The Mistaya's blended lifting body fuselage is flanked with large vertical fins to provide directional stability in hypersonic operations. Further outboard, its distinctive variable sweep outer wings optimize aerodynamic performance throughout low to high-speed flight, and fold away fully to reduce the footprint of the vehicle for storage. The extended twin-boom tails provide ample control authority, with all control surfaces across the vehicle providing secondary functionality as heat sinks for the demanding thermal management requirements of transatmospheric operations. 5 engines of various make and model, depending on the variant, provide thrust. 2 of these, mounted to the sides of the aft fuselage, are typically dedicated towards atmospheric flight, with the remaining 3 reserved for use in a vacuum. When operating in particularly demanding atmospheric or gravitational conditions, or during emergencies, all 5 can be used concurrently. Fuel for the primary engines is stored in multiple tanks in the wing root and aft fuselage, while engine management is situated alongside the craft's environmental controls in the spinal systems bay. Numerous microthrusters are distributed across the fuselage and wing root, to provide reaction controls and can support limited VTOL capacity in suitable low-gravity operational regimes. The creation of the UC-67 came about largely as a result of the integration of the Antares star system. The earliest interstellar development efforts undertaken by the Confederacy were noted for the inefficient methods of delivering orbital cargo and personnel to planetary surfaces. These landings caused significant wear and tear on the larger spacecraft of the era, with smaller transports requiring a complete refurbishment of their thermal protection systems after only a few atmospheric re-entries. But by 249 AL, advances in transpiration cooling and ceramic composite materials, made possible through a technological exchange with the Cloister of the Spirits, promised a significant increase in durability at greatly reduced expense. That same year, the Confederate Navy issued a general operating requirement for a new transatmospheric transport aircraft. Requirements for the new design were centered around the ability to seamlessly transition between atmospheric and orbital flight. It was expected to carry 42 passengers, 32 combat troops, or 28 orbital paratroopers in a cargo compartment that was approximately 39 feet long, 9 feet high, and 11 feet wide. This cargo area was envisioned as a modular component that could be easily replaced across the vehicle's lifespan or any future variants. Other specific requirements included the ability to take off from unprepared or improvised runways, an initial service life of at least 5,000 landings, and substantial excess electrical power to support future specialized equipment. The X-204 was one of 3 designs tendered by Raji Viet, the Confederacy's third largest defense contractor at that time. It narrowly won the Joint Transatmospheric Utility Dropship program, beating rivals from Chengatai Aerospace, O'Dowd Interplanetary, Swang Aerospace, and Huakai Aviation. It formally entered production in 254 AL and was redesignated the UC-67A. Early issues with its cloister-derived thermal coatings led to the loss of 2 flight test airframes, including the original prototype. Despite this setback, and the lengthy spaceworthiness certification program that followed, the 67A was an astonishing success. It was highly regarded by the Confederate Navy, with additional orders placed by the constituent republics of Sabmati, Ambasura, Mandakir, and Alfajari Vet. Within a decade of its introduction, every republic within the Confederacy was utilizing the Mistaya in some capacity. The UC-67 was pressed into action during the liberation of Torix, in which it ferried supplies and troops to the most remote of locations. During the initial disastrous landings, UC-67s performed thousands of sorties to resupply cut-off units or rescue injured soldiers in need of medical assistance. It proved itself perfectly equipped to conduct low-altitude cargo drops, playing a key role in the defense of landing zone Kilitbahir, in which UC-67s accounted for 90% of the supplies used by Antares ground forces. The Mistaya also became renowned during the Torix campaign for its adaptability, with many modifications made by increasingly desperate Confederate airmen. UC-67s even functioned as makeshift bombers, dropping large improvised explosives on enemy positions when no other air assets were available. The unexpected performance of these ad hoc models led to the first heavily armed, long-endurance, ground, and orbital attack variants. The UC-67G was the first such design, outfitted with dual 30mm cannons and a single 70mm railgun beneath the main fuselage. Additional wing-mounted missiles and precision bombs gave the 67G standoff capability. The UC-67N was the interstellar naval version of the same concept, tailored to its role on Confederate carriers, sacrificing fuel capacity and endurance for an expanded electronic warfare suite and internal weapons bays containing up to 16 anti-ship missiles. While eventually replaced within federal service by more specialized designs, a UC-67N nicknamed Thrildiness Man by its crew gained national recognition for its destruction of the battleship Emperor Sel Temek during the First Beldrossi War. Both the 67N and 67G would enter service within many Confederate republics, often equipped with indigenous weapons and in some cases produced under local license by native aerospace firms. the success of the UC-67 in military use was replicated in the civilian sector. In 285AL, the modernized version of the Mistaya, now designated the UC-67B, was adapted for civic use and sold as the Rajiviet 205B. Thousands of such craft entered into commercial service, used mainly by passenger liners and cargo companies. Additional sub-variants of the 205B would be specially equipped as search and rescue or aeromedical craft. Beginning in 308AL, a luxury version of the 205B, marketed as the Rajiviet Jasper, entered into production. Its entirely redesigned interior featured more spacious living quarters, spa-style bathrooms, and meeting rooms. Dozens of such variants were sold to private companies or ultra-high net worth individuals, to be used exclusively by their employees or families. The Apache Flames hockey team was among the most prominent of Jasper owners, and used their 205B to perform flybys over Apache Stadium during playoff games. In 406AL, there came renewed pressure from the Confederate Navy to replace the UC-67M, the latest modernized variant of the venerable 67A. Cost overruns and the disappointing performance of proposed replacement designs led the Antares Parliament to instead fund a larger, more advanced derivative of the Mistaya. While outwardly similar to its predecessor, the UC-72M, often nicknamed the Super Mistaya, was a complete rework, incorporating the latest sensor suites, larger displays, and other avionics. The 72M was meant to be a stopgap measure while a dedicated replacement could be developed, but the drastically improved performance at a greatly reduced cost kept the Mistaya in production for another century and provided the basis for dozens more variants. The UC-80P was the most successful of these, specially equipped for use within the Pioneer Corps. These craft were the first vessels of their size within the Confederacy, capable of housing faster-than-light drives, a feature that would eventually be retrofitted across much of the Mistaya fleet. While not yet acknowledged by the Antares government, special forces within the Pioneers make use of additional sub-variants of Mistaya, believed to be equipped with stealth technology and other classified equipment. The first public images of these craft emerged during the liberation of Earth in 542AL, and it is expected that once they are fully revealed, they will provide the basis for the next modernization of the mainstream production line. The UC-67 Mistaya has become a part of Antares like few other vehicles in human history. From the great spaceports of Sagallo to austere runways on frontier colonies, the descendants of that craft can be found performing and supporting every imaginable mission in every imaginable environment. No aerospace craft ever put into service can match its capabilities. In every star system, on every world, during every second of the day, a Mistaya is in the air or in orbit, going further than any thought possible.
Thanks to Rajiviet for sponsoring this investigation into the UC-67. As one of the Antares Confederacy's leading aerospace corporations, Rajiviet is at the forefront of research, design, development, and manufacturing, with a profound commitment to the integration and sustainment of advanced technology systems, products, and services. The UC-67 is just one way that Rajiviet continues to prove its reliability, efficiency, and adaptability in the most extreme mission profiles. But unrivaled versatility, proven performance, and enhanced capability are just the beginning. As a nation, corporation, or non-state actor operating Rajiviet aerospace craft, you'll have access to their 24/7 customer support center, field support teams, and the patented Chinook data analytics suite for advanced predictive fleet operations optimization. But that's not all. Use the offer code Mistaya, and you'll receive a consultation on how you can prepare for the challenges of tomorrow with the Rajiviet cohesive vertical lift ecosystem, absolutely free with the purchase of any tactical airlifter. Alternatively, if you'd just like to get a poster featuring the UC-67's most famous variants, you'll find a link in the description.